Three, two, one, and we are recording.
Morning.
G'day. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good today. How are you?
Pretty good. I'm a little bit allergenic. Is that a word?
I think it is.
Yeah, I think there's lots of pollen floating around again.
Okay.
Ken, tell me why you wanted to do this show.
Well, I look at a lot of stuff online about records, and a lot of it's really sort of audiophile. Like you talk about, the weight of your needle and your cartridge type and the groove depth, and a lot of it goes over my head, to be honest. I've got a really basic setup, a turntable. I've got some PC speakers that are stuck into it. I think it sounds really lovely. An audiophile coming into my house would be just shocked. So, but the reason I collect records is just because I love them as a piece of artwork. It's not just the music, it's the packaging, it's the experience of having it and, taking it out and playing it. That's what I love about it. I actually think that's what most people really love about collecting records. So I really wanted to create some content that was about that love and not just about the technical details, about the fine audio quality and what type of speakers you have and how much money you spent on your setup. It was about the artworks themselves, which is why the artists produced the things in the first place. I just wanted to share with a fellow record lover, the things that we collect and enjoy and love and why we have them.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I ditto to that. I probably would like to know more about the audiophile stuff, but just because I don't have enough room in my head to make space for that, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. So yeah, I have a pretty basic setup. At one stage, I had PC speakers plugged into my mixer.
Yeah,
it was like a mix of it's like a Frankenstein setup. So I think as well, we need to kind of set up how we met. You and I went to university together, and we've just kept in touch via social media and intermittent, random face-to-face meetings, which has been great.
Yeah, it's been fantastic.
So this is the first episode of Ben and Ken Like Records. We decided to theme each of the episodes. The theme is not hard and fast, kind of we need to be super literal about it. It can be as broad stroked as we need it to be. But I felt it would just maybe up the ante with the challenges. Is that kind of the thinking around the theming, Ken?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's instead of just choosing a random selection.
Yeah.
Not just your favorites, but just, themes tend to narrow your thinking and to actually make you slightly more creative.
I agree. And I think if we didn't have themes, it could be very self-indulgent and people probably have already switched off at this stage if they knew that it was just like two dudes ranting and raving about their collections.
Do you know, a lot of people that do collect records, it turns into a match of who's got the better collection. And I really didn't want that to happen either.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just us going through and finding, this is my rare holy grail. It's not about that. It's about the everyday things that you have that you love to listen to.
Yeah. Having said that, I will say part of my ego would have a bit of that as we go through the series. So I'm not going to lie.
Well,
it will be a chance for me to go, I did cut this halfway across the world to have in my collection. So I'm going to talk about it, if that's okay.
Yeah, look, ditto.
Okay. At least we're very clear about that.
Very honest and upfront.
Yeah. So this episode's theme is Technicolour. Do you want to kick it off? What did you bring?
Yeah. Okay. This is what I brought. Coldplay's A Head Full of Dreams live in Buenos Aires. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. It's a nice thing. Not just the record itself, but it's a pretty nice thing to own.
So let's go through like the vitals.
It was released in 2018, and it's on the Parlophone label. So it's a 3 LP live recording. They're on gold vinyl.
Oh wow.
When it says gold, they're not gold, but they're goldish. But it
Yellow?
also has well, I'll pull it out.
Was it all yellow?
Well, it's not yellow. It is gold, but
Okay. Oh yeah, that looks like gold.
it's kind of tanny, browny.
Yeah.
Looks like my shelves timber.
Yeah.
It also comes with a DVD and a CD, neither of which I've used.
Just to mix up all the mediums, let's throw in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's got track listings on the back
Sweet.
of the whole kit and caboodle. Apparently, the people of it says Buenos Aires, but it was actually recorded down the road from Buenos Aires, and the locals are actually a little bit angry. They're not very happy because their little town it should be more famous than it is.
Right.
Yeah.
But probably,
yeah. Vital statistics. I should finish that. It's sometimes called the butterfly package. So collectors of Coldplay stuff refer to this as the butterfly package because of the butterfly image on the front. Yeah.
Sweet.
So Coldplay. Coldplay, are they pop icons now, aren't they? They've been generating music since about 1998, maybe a bit before. They're everywhere. You know, they're pumped through shopping centers. They're in movies. They're in ads. It's actually pretty hard to avoid Coldplay nowadays. It's easier to hear Coldplay than it is to not hear Coldplay. Some people really hate Coldplay. Some people really get off on the hate of Coldplay, but I actually think they're just denying themselves a little bit of love because at the end of the day, Coldplay write really nice pop songs, and who doesn't? You know what I mean? Who doesn't love a really nice pop song? So, I actually think that's part of the problem with Coldplay is that people hate Coldplay so much that they think, oh, they're just, they make music for the masses. We are the masses. And I think they fall into that trap themselves. And I think they try to be a bit experimental and Coldplay try to be on the edge. And they're really at their best when they just pump out nice pop songs. I think they should just stick to that.
And I think,
which is why, sorry.
And I think in addition to that, some people run away from pop music because it's like, I'm not meant to like music much without thinking about it too much. Like pop can really just change your mood instantly, but some people don't like just being swept away like that so easily. They want it to be a bit more cerebral. And have to really like, oh, this is why I like it because the lyrics are super deep. I also want to add that I feel like Chris Martin seems like a really good bloke. So I think that's a nice kind of, I feel connected to him as maybe he's a nice, decent fella.
I think he'd be a nice guy to have dinner with or have a drink with. But, he would seem like a nice fella.
Yeah.
What was Gwyneth doing? Should have stuck with him. So feel free to cut out any of this that's just nonsense. So I actually think this is why a live concert of Coldplay is actually really, really good because they are just going to play the stuff that everyone loves. They want the crowd on side.
And they've got a lot of hits. So what are some
on
the Oval? What are some hits on the album? Because they pretty much would be able to, have at least a half of their set just full of hits, back-to-back hits.
Yeah, well, this is from the Head Full of Dreams tour. So a lot of the songs, half the songs are from that album, and half the songs are like a best of concert show. So I'll read through some of the things, and you'll just be like, oh yeah, great song, great song,
Yeah.
great song.
Yeah.
So Head Full of Dreams to start with is a great song. Yellow, The Scientist, God Put a Smile Upon Your Face, Paradise, Magic, Clocks, Hymn for the Weekend, Fix You, Viva La Vida, Adventure of a Lifetime, In My Place, Up and Up. Something just like this.
That's like 10 hits right there. And I
Yeah.
can just imagine a South American audience, you know,
Oh,
or even
they
an
just lap
Australian
it up.
audience, just soaking it up, lighters, phone lights on, like it. Yeah.
But that leads me to the point that why I bought this. Oh, by the way, there's the Technicolor.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And there's actually a song that doesn't have a title. It's the Spectrum.
Oh, okay.
That's the title of the song.
That's when Coldplay go art.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's hence the Technicolor selection.
Yeah.
So the reason I bought this, I actually bought this on a pre-order. So I bought it sight unseen from a very large online retailer. And I paid a fair bit of money for it. Not ridiculous money, but it's not just go down to the shop and pick up a record sort of money.
Yeah.
I bought it because my wife and I went to the Brisbane leg of this tour, and I really wanted a record of it, and not just a record, but a record.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Is that the one? Is that the tour where they had the wristbands and it synced with the lighting? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, and it flashed in time with the music, and they had these giant confetti cannons, and it was just. I'm going to go out there and say it. It was one of the absolute best concerts I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It was
put on
incredible.
A show.
Yes. It was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I think that concert was just full of excess. It was just crazy good. But that's the vibe of that concert is recorded on this, which is what I was really hoping for. I was quite nervous when it came. I thought, is it just going to sound like this overproduced live cut?
Yeah.
But it actually sounds somewhere between a bootleg and a produced album. So there's that real fine line between, because I've got some bootleg stuff that sounds like it was on someone's phone. And
you have like George and Sean talking to each other about getting another drink. And it's like, oh yeah, that's kind of, I wish the music was a little bit better over that conversation next to the person holding the phone. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's the other end where you get a live recording that's not really a live recording. It's live, but they've produced the live out of it. So they've really walked the line on this, and they've got it just right. It feels like you're there. It's really, really nice. Yeah.
Who produced it? Out of interest.
That's a good question. I have no idea. I'll take that question on notice.
We'll put it up in the
yeah, why not?
Yeah. Okay.
That's how I read Technicolor.
Yeah.
So what did you choose for Technicolor?
Okay, so I chose the Harder They Come soundtrack by Jimmy Cliff.
Wow.
And it is actually a film soundtrack. So I took it kind of a little bit literally. Jimmy Cliff, obviously big reggae star, still alive today, kind of like a living music legend. It came out and I'm just trying to look at the date. It says it's manufactured and distributed by Island Records. So Island Records is a massive label.
Yeah.
But the sub label here is Mango, which I never knew was a thing. So it says manufactured and distributed by Island Records Incorporated, LA, California. This edition is actually printed in the US. I think it's 70. Yeah. So inside, all the copyright information says 72. So yeah, and
Is that a 72? Is it is it from 1972, or is it a repress, or is it?
it's hard.
Sometimes it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Like, I think maybe, I don't know. It's like I bought this in Canada when I was backpacking, my first backpacking trip around the world. I think I bought it from a shop in Toronto called Rotate This.
Yeah.
Bought it for $7 Canadian, which is quite cheap. But like, I'm still blown away how kind of mint condition the gatefold is. Yeah, so it makes me think, because it's in mint condition, that I don't think it's a original pressing. I think it's a repress,
Okay.
but I could
It's
be wrong.
still beautiful.
Yeah, it is. So it's produced and directed, I suppose, the movie by Perry Hensel, but then it's got uh, a range of producers working on the different songs. So like a who's who. Jimmy Cliff's produced a lot of them, but in terms of the artists, there's a who's who of like reggae stars.
Okay, cool.
So that's
Have you
my
seen the movie?
okay. So I am a little bit embarrassed to admit that I haven't seen it. Have you?
I've never heard of it.
Okay. So I think
I've
that
never
is our
heard of it.
homework. I think that's our homework. Once we get into some of the songs though, you'll be like, oh, I've heard that song. So
Okay.
it's interesting how much this is um, kind of popular culture, but they don't know
Yep.
that it kind of comes back to this soundtrack.
Okay.
So that's
So
my
those?
what's that?
What are some of those songs? Tell me
Okay,
some of the.
yeah. So the big one is Many Rivers to Cross.
Yeah.
Okay, which was covered, and I did do a bit of web Wikipedia this morning. UB40 did it, who are like a UK band that do kind of those reggae tracks.
Band name is named after a doll form.
Oh yes, yeah, you're right.
The
Yeah,
UB40 is the name of the doll form.
yeah. The Harder They Come, and You Can Get It If You Really Want. I think they're the three tracks, and I think
Yep.
Many Rivers to Cross and You Can Get It If You Really Want are kind of two of Jimmy Cliff's most popular songs. Not to say maybe they epitomize his songwriting, but they were the ones that kind of took reggae to a really big audience. So yeah.
So do you think this album's like it, again, talking about walking a line between things? Yes, it's a soundtrack, but it's kind of also like a Jimmy Cliff best of Jimmy Cliff and Friends, you know. So I quite like those albums that have, all that goodness packed in.
Yeah. I think it's if I was to equate it to another kind of series that does this well, Soul Jazz do these great kind of compilations of different different genres, especially reggae and ska. And it's almost like a taster album for reggae, kind of that really traditional reggae, which also had a real kind of crossover appeal to a Western market. So yeah, I think you're right. It's like it is Jimmy Cliff and Friends, but also like, hey, if you didn't know about reggae or reggae culture, or maybe you wanted a bit of a point in time kind of document, well, hey, check out the soundtrack. It's got a nice taster, and people be like, it has a few hits where people will go, oh, that's like, I know that song. Annie Lennox covered it. This must be the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a gateway reggae album.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many bits and pieces with it.
Yeah.
Like, because they're all in individual sleeves. Like, have a look at it. There's all these bits. There's another one here.
I feel like in terms of the price point, it would have to be a big chunk of money to invest in that, because that is not your ordinary pressing.
No. I'll tell you how much I paid for it.
Yeah.
So it came out in 2018. I think it was either 95 or 105, I think.
That's what I was thinking would be the price point.
Yeah.
So I think that is like pretty reasonable for something
Yeah.
collectible.
So that's the CD and the DVD
Ah, okay.
that I've never taken out
Yeah. Yeah.
because the only CD player I own is in my car, and I don't own a DVD player.
Yeah. Yeah. They're kind
I have a
of
turntable. I have a turntable,
yeah.
but I don't have a DVD player. And then there's like it's got like the booklet pamphlet, like that's Technicolor to the max. So
Yes.
that's images from the concert itself, and that's what it actually looked like. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. And
Um,
so can this segues kind of we wanted to talk about the sleeve art and
yeah,
just the feel of this is kind of where we get a little bit audiophile nerd, but really just talk about the packaging because we both love
yeah,
art. We both
yeah,
have
for sure.
an affinity for good design. So when you got the package like delivered and you did that kind of taking off the plastic, what was the things
Yeah.
that grabbed you straight away in terms of like the look and the feel of the what you'd purchased sight unseen?
Well, I tell you what, there were pros and cons.
Okay.
So parts of it are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Some parts are disappointing. So um, the vinyl itself is nice. It's it's on that gold. It's really heavy. It's
Yeah.
like the 180 gram type vinyl. Um, the individual sleeves are quite nice. They've got this printed. Um, I'm not going to say leather grain, but it's like it looks like a gold leaf, like a photo of gold leaf. I'm actually quite disappointed with the weight of it. The
Okay.
weight of the cardboard. It's it's glossy. You can see that it's glossy,
Yeah.
and the slipcase is really thin. It's printed on the inside, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like that text is on the inside. But I was really expecting from the images that I saw of it before, I saw the little icon when I bought it online. That's all I saw was that. I expected it to be in a real heavy, feel like leather grain, um, but like the texture to be really nice, but it feels kind of cheap.
So it's
Like
not
the
as
slipcase,
luxe. It's not as luxe as you thought
no,
it would
it's
be.
not.
Yeah.
And
It's a bit
one of
faux
the
faux
things,
luxe.
it is faux luxe, you're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
One of the things that really bothers me, the image on the front, I like that bit's really glossy, but it's the background cardboard that's also got too much gloss. If that was matte and that was high gloss, that'd be really nice. One of the other things that bothers me is the gold letterpress. It's really shallow.
So it is
I
embossed.
really, well, maybe it's hard to tell whether it is or not.
Okay.
I really want. It would be nice if it was pressed into deep cardboard and
Right.
had that real luxe feeling. But
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's only pressed in due to the way letterpress is done.
Yeah.
So that's my downer on it. That's the only downer I have, mind you, which is pretty good. That's the only downer, that the cardboard's a little bit thin. It gets beat up really easy. If I put it up close,
Yes.
you can see that the corners get beat and it gets little creases in it.
Yeah.
Oh, here.
I call them
It's hard to see.
they're character creases and character bumps.
Well, I'm certainly not going to have a pristine collection
Yeah.
that's, locked up safe. They get used. And I listen to this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the packaging looks beautiful. The imagery is amazing. The name of the artist I've got here somewhere. Hang on, cut this. I'm about to bend down.
Yeah.
So the artist that made all of these images, the butterfly image on the front, her name is Christiana Williams. She is Icelandic. Got it here. So she's an Icelandic artist who does these collages. Her actual artworks are laser cut images. So she laser cuts all the images and collages them together.
Yes, I like that.
And it's really, really lovely. It's super detailed, super intricate. We'll put the website of her website up down here.
Yeah.
They're really, really lovely, and they suit the performance and the concert so well. It's just this explosion of color. Yeah, that's really cool.
Mm.
So that's the packaging. Beautiful album, like beautiful vinyl. The sleeves are quite nice. It's just that level of luxury that I kind of expected wasn't quite there. Yeah.
Is there a booklet, like a 12-inch booklet?
There is only just this
Ah.
that has it's just one fold out.
Yeah.
But I think that's enough.
Yeah. Although
Yeah.
when you talk about Lux, like my idea of Lux would also be to have like a really beautiful booklet with just big 12-inch photos of the concert. But
That would be nice.
they probably spent too much money.
It'd end up about that thick.
Yeah, that's right. You'd have like, and it would blow out the cost to an extra $100 just for the bound
It would.
booklet. Yeah.
Do you know what I just thought?
Hmm.
This is enough for me because I was actually at one of the shows.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot here. And
Yeah.
I don't need so much here.
Yeah.
If you had never been to the show, you'd probably be looking at it going, well, that's not quite enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like how I talk about the Lord of the Rings movies. Those movies were made for fans of the book.
Yeah.
I looked at that movie and thought it's a 3-hour ad for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a fan already or you've been to the show, it's a perfect piece to own.
Mm. So it's almost a companion piece.
Yes, it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're the words I was looking for.
Mm.
So what about yours?
Yeah. So as I said before, it is a gatefold album, and it's really interesting that your artist Christina,
yeah,
or Christiana, that she uses collage, because this is collage.
Yeah.
There is a breast here, which is kind of like a little bit soft porn. But I just love how this kind of collage has been imitated so much afterwards. You know, it is almost like kind of, I think of fashion magazines using it now to emulate that kind of vintage 70s aesthetic of having to, you know, it's not digital, it's not done in Photoshop or Illustrator or any digital software. She had to hand cut the images or the photographs, lay it out on the sheet, and then they would make the film from there to then print the full color sleeve image. So I just love that. It goes right to the edge as well, which I love. When I was looking at the back cover, I love this lettering here. I mean, it's, you know, it's almost like what you would see in if you were typing retro fonts, you know, like looking for a font, you'd find these fonts, but this is like legitimately from the era. And it looks like it was hand lettered. So I really love that art of, you know, someone having to hand letter that, and then do this colorful gradient. Like that's like a lot. I
was looking at those before, but they're all different.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Cliff, the Harder They Come, they've all got a different gradient in them, and they're perfect, and the colors are just wonderful, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit kind of psychedelic in a way as well. And then also this illustration feels to me like reggae spin on blaxploitation a little bit.
Yeah.
And, you know, without having seen the movie, yeah, I feel like there's going to be guns. There's going to be some motorbike action, a bit of music, and, you know, it just kind of sets a scene. But as an image, a standalone image for anyone who's not watched the movie, I like it.
Yeah. You know, sometimes there's little details in pictures that make an image, and the guy's necklace.
Oh, yes.
You can see that it's swinging out.
Yeah.
So he's not standing there like a
Yeah.
It's not like a Mexican standoff.
Yes.
He's really sort of spun into it, and
Yeah.
you can see that action, and you can see how vibrant it is, and
Yeah.
it's just that little detail. I love it.
Yeah. And I think as well, it's of an era. Like I can feel like this guy is wearing a blue velour, like I
Yeah,
feel like that the shadowing there it's not just a normal t-shirt, it's velour.
yeah,
I do like the typeface they've used for the album notes. So this basically here is just a blurb about the film. Um Actually, I'll read the first little bit because it's quite funny. But also I I would have just loved to have been a fly in the room for the guy doing the copywriter, the girl or the guy doing the copywriting. So it says Shantytown, Jamaica, where the best grass in the world sells for $2 an ounce in the street, where shooting a film can be held up when an actor is shot. 2 have died since it was completed, which is kind of shocking because this is
that is
all in the
shocking.
same first sentence. Where people sing in church till they have an orgasm. Thank you, Lord. That's the first sentence. Like
That's fantastic.
it's yeah. Um, and it's in typewriter kind of font.
Oh,
So, maybe it was actually typed legitimately on a typewriter, like or
and
typeset.
if so, that curve at the bottom
Yes.
is perfect.
Yeah.
And if that was done with the typewriter, that's a lot of space work.
Yeah.
That's good.
Um, yeah, I just think you can't go past this, even though by today's design standards, people would go, oh, this is a little bit DIY. But I think the aesthetic, a lot of people would want to copy this because it
Yeah,
just feels true, authentic vintage.
yeah. So you talked about the great Jimmy Cliff songs on there and the hits, but what are some of the songs that you come back to over and over again, or the standout tracks on the album?
I I mean, this is probably very stereotypical, but I do come back to the Jimmy Cliff songs. And I was having a listen to it this morning, not on vinyl, but just Spotify,
Yeah,
just as a quick, run it through the speaker. Um, and Many Rivers to Cross. I think it's just an amazing song. And I was listening to the lyrics like a little bit more deeply than I ever have. And when I thought about it a bit more, it is like a song about being a migrant. So he's
mm,
talking about crossing the river from Jamaica to the UK. He talks about the White Cliffs of Dover. So immediately was like, okay,
wow.
this is about migrating to England. Um, and then when I Wikipedia'd it, which again is my go-to source, some people might argue. And it said that he wrote this in 69. So obviously the copyright on this album 72. So it was there already. Um, so he wrote it in response to his experience of going from Jamaica to the UK. And it was challenging. He thought it was going to be, he would have a lot more success, that he would break through, but he didn't. He thought he would be on par with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. But
Oh wow.
it is really a song about, wow, this is like, I have a long way to go in terms of, yeah. So it's quite a powerful song. And in terms of the way it's recorded on the album, it starts with organs. So it's a little bit of church, kind of gospel-y, a little bit of
Okay.
soul. And then, yeah, it is a really quite a personal song. And obviously it was personal for him. Um, and yeah, I think that song does stand out. And because it's been covered a lot as well, when people cover a song many, many times, that song resonates
Yeah.
universally. But reading the backstory about Jimmy Cliff and why he wrote it, I was like, wow, that really does also set the scene about the culture of the time. Black musicians
Yeah.
in predominantly music industry that had people that were having hits were white musicians playing black
including
music.
yeah, I was just about to say, including bands like the Beatles who were
Yeah,
making songs like Roll Over Beethoven and, from black artists,
yeah,
like making them even more popular.
yeah. So it really is an interesting song when you kind of think about all the geopolitical stuff that's happened since. I suppose the other song that I really want, and this is maybe the antithesis to Many Rivers to Cross, is You Can Get It If You Really Want. It's just super catchy. It's like an earworm. It's like a party track, but also has that kind of that quintessential reggae party song from that era that you would imagine. And you can imagine it fitting in to a soundtrack. Like I really want to watch the movie now to see if they have them in full or if they're just background music for the action. So that would be something that's my homework. What's your favorite tracks on your album? Is there a standout?
Well, I was thinking about this because I listened to it the other day, and it's a bit of an odd one because it's a live album and it's a bit best ofy, and there's so many great songs that we've already talked about. There's actually a segment, like a what would you call it? Like a transition. That's, I think, is the best. So between it's the tracks "Fix You" and "Viva La Vida,"
Which is slow, sad to party.
Yeah. So "Fix You," the way they performed it in the concert was, you've got 10,000, 40,000 people there, and it's such a tender song. It's a very difficult thing to play that with tenderness for that many people. Everyone's singing along, everyone's singing it, and "Fix You" explodes. I remember at our concert in Brisbane, Chris Martin ran back down. There's a big gantry down the middle, and he ran, and it
I actually just
exploded.
got goosebumps because I know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I filmed that. I actually
Oh,
filmed
yeah.
that whole song. I'll send you the video. It's
Okay,
amazing.
please do.
Um, uh, so it goes from that tender song, and then there's a bit of talking. Chris Martin in Spanish,
Oh,
like I've no idea what he says. He
yeah.
might be saying anything. It could be a shopping list. Who knows? It sounds pretty good though. And then it goes into "Viva La Vida," and the start of "Viva La Vida" has that chanting part.
Yeah.
You're like, and everyone's singing it together. Actually, in the movie of I saw there's that documentary that it went to cinemas. I went to see it. When they wrote "Viva La Vida," they wrote that specifically for crowds.
And
The
it
chanting
feels
part,
like that. It feels like that.
yeah. So it's that transition from "Fix You" into "Viva La Vida" that is just, it's the best part of the album, and really it has to be turned way up when you listen at home. It's not a quiet listen with your big cans on. It's crank it up loud, and you get that atmosphere, and you really do get that atmosphere from the concert in your living room, which is pretty amazing. So that's, for me, that's the standout moment of the album, the whole concert album. Yeah, it was so good.
And I feel like those two songs, because again, they are massive hits. And Fix
Yeah,
You, you can sing along to that, even though it's quite an emo song. And I feel
yeah,
like Chris Martin is literally going, eat out of my hand.
yeah,
And everyone is, because they are just like, kind of polar in terms of the emotive kind of feeling of the song, but
yeah.
really kind of anthemic. And you really do kind of have this it is like a communal, you want to just sing,
Yeah,
or at least really move, or yeah. Is that what you were like at the concert? Like, do you sing
yeah,
at concerts?
yeah. I do.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to
Poorly.
check. Yeah,
I
yeah,
sing poorly at concerts.
yeah.
With the wristbands as well that were lighting up. Everyone's in unison. Everyone's singing in unison, and it was this real community feel, and it was at ANZ Stadium, Lang Park. It was packed, and we were on the floor.
This is in Queensland, Australia.
In Queensland, yeah.
Yeah.
So a big football stadium, a rugby league stadium, and all of us, it was like this community, like everyone was friendly and everyone was nice and everyone was singing together. It was like being in a giant choir. Yeah, it was very, very cool. And back to the record, it evokes those feelings every time I listen to it. Yeah.
I have a question. In live albums, so you were talking before about live albums, like some are overproduced, some are like a bit bootleg, but this kind of is, marries both in equal balance. Something I like about live albums is when there's a bit of talking and you're like, oh, that makes it feel like I was there too. Are there moments where Chris Martin, or, are there any guest kind of performances where he goes, oh, here's someone from Brisbane who plays trumpet, like who's someone from Argentina who, dances, they're going to dance during this. Like, is there those moments?
Well, I don't know if he announces anybody because it's all in Spanish.
Right.
But there is a lot of talking. But they do play this song, De Musica Ligera. And it's not a Coldplay song.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but the crowd go absolutely bananas.
Okay. So he again is like going, I'm going to give your culture back to you.
Yep.
And then hit you with one of mine.
They are absolute masters at putting a concert together.
Yeah.
It's their bread and butter.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we should put down maybe some details about what that song is.
I think so.
That's our homework, but also we'll put it down here as well.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is.
Yeah. And I don't want to, it might be like a national song that we've just kind of.
Hang on. Maybe it's not even that song. Maybe it's Amor Argentina.
Okay. Which is, I love Argentina.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's pretty national.
Well, there's De Musica Ligera and there's Amor Argentina.
Okay. So that would be like if Coldplay played Waltzing Matilda at the Brisbane.
It would be.
And everyone
would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool.
And so I mean.
Oh no. Okay, keep going.
No. It was just filler anyway. Pretty sure it's not.
This can be a little ending. We can put after the credits. Your little, I hope it's not. That's good.
Yeah, I hope it's not.
You're like, what kind of Coldplay? There's going to be all these. Yeah. I'll just quickly check the next one. Any curious facts? Oh, we're almost on the end. Personal anecdote, curious facts. And so we're kind of wrapping up now.
Yeah. I actually said there's something about this particular album and Coldplay touring. Did you know that Coldplay said they won't tour again until they can be environmentally positive? Not just carbon neutral or anything like that. So environmentally positive. So, combined with COVID plus traveling to Australia, I'm not sure when the next time we'll even get a chance to see Coldplay is. Like, are they going to tour again?
Is that just an excuse, like, to kind of go, we'll just, like, we don't like touring?
Well, they make so much money.
I know, but like, and yeah, it's apparently that's how musicians make their money, through the touring. But like, realistically, and I don't want to sound nihilist or apathetic, but will we get to carbon neutral touring, like in this next decade?
It's very difficult. You can't just say, it's not as simple as I'm going to go and plant 400,000 trees. It doesn't actually work like that.
Yeah. Because what about all the vendors?
Works, but
yeah,
there's the vendors, there's the crowd traveling to shows.
Yeah.
That all needs to be factored in. And there's not that many. The only real way to stop those emissions and things like that is to stop the emissions.
Hmm.
And at the moment, I think it's very difficult to change. You can't just flick overnight to renewable energy. It's cost prohibitive, technologically very difficult. We're getting sort of pseudo political here,
I know.
but
Who knew?
it's those sorts of things that if Coldplay stick to their guns, and I think they will, because they've said it very publicly, that might actually put an end to Coldplay touring outside of the UK.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you want to travel to the UK, which a lot of diehard Coldplay fans would, there's those sort of emissions and environmental concerns about international travel once we're allowed to again post COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing, and they've put themselves in a very unusual situation for a band that thrives on and is so good at, as we've already talked about, so good at live music, that they've put themselves in a position where it's sort of, I'm not sure whether they're going to do it again.
I don't think it's off brand though, because I feel Coldplay, in the same way that maybe U2 did, but in a softer way,
Yeah.
Coldplay have aligned themselves with kind of, campaigns that are political, but in that soft political way. So, I remember when Chris Martin used to write things on his hands, like that was the Vida La Viva, maybe. What's the album with the kind of looks like the French Revolution kind of feel?
It's Viva La Vida.
Yeah, Viva La Vida.
It's got a subtitle. And Death and All His Friends.
Yes, yeah. So I feel like in terms of the band branding over time, they have aligned to different causes. So, again, not being cynical, but also going good on them as a massive band to champion this. I think it's a good aspirational goal, which needs to be done, because who's going to do it? Like, there needs to be political will, and Coldplay have a lot of sway across the world.
Yeah.
So,
it's just odd that their stance has really put a dent in their career.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's their bargaining chip, though. Is that the bargaining chip that if you want to see us tour, we've got to do things to fix it?
Yeah.
Is Coldplay a big enough bargaining chip for the world to change climate change? That's a big call.
Yeah.
It's either very clever or very arrogant.
Yeah. I think it is a good aspirational goal, and I am definitely keen to see what happens next, because if they can do it, then maybe that will change the way we think about being entertained, and we start thinking about our footprint. Who knows?
Yeah. So, is there anything else that you want to add about your album, or?
Yeah, I feel like I need to see the movie, and maybe I'll go down a rabbit hole in terms of exploring a bit more of that genre, and also the way that music was a cultural force for shifting ideas around, music made authentically by, people who we now see, like Jimmy Cliff, as like living legends. There is a series of TV or maybe on-demand movies made by Steve McQueen, a director, and it covers the British experience of people from Jamaica and the Caribbean countries. Maybe I subconsciously liked watching that. It's called Small Axe. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link below. But there is a episode called Lovers Rock, which has the most beautiful extended just slow-mo dance sequences, just these house parties.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it made me think of this being played as a soundtrack. You know, it is a part of that subculture, and obviously not being of that culture and that social group, it was just an eye-opener. I really liked it, watching it from just a bystander and also like as a learner about that point in time. So yeah.
Cool. Well, that's Technicolour.
That is Technicolour, episode 1. Hey, great to chat. I will see you next time.
Hopefully I got the right song there, and the Musica Ligera isn't a Coldplay song. You've been watching the first episode of Ben and Ken Like Records. If you like our content, make sure you click the subscribe button and the like button, and click the bell for notifications. See ya.